What's the first thing you can remember? We talk about that in this episode of Whistle the Feast. It takes about 2 hours to get to that question. We spend a lot of time talking about influence and what's really happening in an art room, whether or not we are ever changing who we intend to become, and whether or not the art room is an antidote.
Hang in there, cool cats.
I want to start by telling a story. A lot of times I ask people an origin story, and I'm going to tell an origin story, and then I'll introduce who's in the room. Cool. I ended up teaching accidentally. I studied to be an artist, and then I had to figure out how to teach. I went back to the high school that I graduated from, Minnesota Valley Lutheran High School, and I had to sort of scramble. I had to figure out, how do you do this thing? Like, there were really practical things like, how does a copy machine work? I haven't ever really done this, and suddenly it's like central. And you got to show up for meetings, and there are minutes and official emails and all that. But the thing I most had to figure out is, like, how do you relate to people? You got this room full of people staring at you suddenly, and you're supposed to know what to do, what to say. So I thought back. I can remember thinking back to trying to figure out what worked for me. I tried to think, like, how do I crack this code? There's different ways you could do that. You could find some books or find some videos or resources and try to, like, figure out how to teach art. But what I found myself doing more was kind of reflecting on what got through to me, what kinds of teachers got through to me. And actually, 2 came to mind, and they surprised me. They weren't necessarily the ones that I would expect, because, well, I don't know why, but one was Peter Bloedel. Took acting class from Peter Bloedel at Bethany, and I remember the way he let me into his life. I remember the way he would talk about his family. He would just be very real about what's happening outside of the classroom. And then he would take time and teach me how to slackline walk. And I never got unicycling, but I tried. He taught me how to eat fire and juggle knives. None of that was classwork. None of that was homework or anything like that. You know, it's not required. Another very influential teacher, as I thought back, was a woman named Mingeva. She taught at Mankato State. She taught life drawing classes, and she was like a force of nature, of weather, or something like that. She would come into the room on the first day and just be this hurricane of energy, and you don't know what's happening, but she's into it, right? Very passionate about her content and about caring about this stuff. She's since passed away, and every now and then I find somebody else who had her as a student, and it's a shared experience. People remember. You don't forget Mingeva. And there's maybe someday I'll talk more about her. That's not her real name. She changed her name. Maybe right now I'll talk more about her. She changed her name to Ria Ching Mingeva, which is an anagram that unscrambles into the words, I am ever changing. She had a very interesting way to lead a life. When I met her, she was wearing all black every day. She had kind of long, stringy hair. She'd wear Chuck Taylors and, like, I don't know, sort of slouchy jersey knit pants and a long sleeve black shirt. By the time I left, she had had some sort of a big change, and she was at the thrift shop buying all sorts of crazy clothes, like striped tights, and she wore this long, like sheepskin trench coat inside out. So she looked like this walking sheep. Like all the fur is on the outside of the coat. And she had shaved her head and like peroxided her hair. So little stuff, like she was a totally different person by the time I left. She changed her name, right? She changed her whole deal, and her art style had completely flipped and turned around too. I think she had 2 art shows in my time there, and they were vastly different. So I was very influenced by, if I'm going to be a teacher, and I've had a lot of teachers, grade school, high school, 2 colleges, 2 and a third colleges. I spent a semester at Gustavus. Those two came to my mind, right? And so I shaped myself based on how I was shaped. And I thought very intentionally about the kind of teacher I want to become. I was thinking about, I am not a teacher yet. Back then in 2001, I'm not a teacher yet. But someday I want to be a certain kind of teacher. Now it's 24 years later, right? And I have become a certain kind of teacher. I know how I teach now. I know my strengths. I didn't back then. Okay, so that's kind of an origin story. Now let me talk about who's in the room. I've got 2 people with me here. It's a table of 3 this time. This is a pre-selected group. We're here because of the origin story that I just told, or because of it's tangent. The story around the table is tangent or related to the story I just told. Michael Wiechmann is across the table from me. He was there in those early days at MVL, early 2000s. When did you graduate high school?
Yeah, 06.
So, 06.
Yep.
Okay. So you remember the downstairs art room?
Yep. It switched up where I did art to now. That switched right after I graduated.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So my first 5 years were in the smallest room with no window and no ventilation. And we did ceramics, painting, and drawing all in the same room.
Yeah.
We were clay mixing in the corner, making a big dusty mess, carting ceramics down the hall to the boiler room to put them in the kiln, right? And doing giant art club projects.
Yeah.
For concerts.
All in that space.
Yeah.
Didn't you take the ceiling tiles out, or was there some...
Probably.
There was some height to it.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot. We customized a lot. But anyways, you were there, right?
Yeah.
While I was trying to figure it out. Okay, now the other person I have across the table is Jack Middleman, who comes to Bethany Lutheran College from Wisco.
Yeah.
He was a student of Michael Wiechmann at Wisco. So it occurred to me when I thought about Jack's presence here at Bethany, now as my student, there's an interesting circuit here. There's a very long circuit of influence that's taken decades to close, but here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like years from now, there'll be a couple more people in this room that will be influenced by Jack.
I think so.
Get a 1 year anniversary, get people coming. Just 10 years later,
10 years.
we just have.
Well, and who's not in the room, right? When I talked about influence, I talked about Pete Bloedel. He's not here right now. And if he would talk about influence, he would talk about Sigurd Lee, who, essentially convinced him that Bethany is a place like no other. This is the place you want to be.
It's pretty much how I got convinced by it.
So the influence, like it goes back, right? Sig has died, and I mentioned that Rhea has died. right? Influence is emerging in Whistle the Feast as this wild, ununderstandable thing. We don't know what we're doing, but people are receiving something. So today, I would like our conversation to hover around that idea of influence in the art room.
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense to talk about it, and at least explore the process of working what seems almost like you don't really know what you're doing, but core characteristics that come through mentorship or influence. Yeah.
So Mike, how about we try to get you back into being a student at MVL?
Yeah.
Can you bring any of that back? Can you remember being that kid?
Yeah, I remember more now because I've been teaching for 14 years. And as I went and did things outside of MVL, graduated after high school to Bethany, to MSU, to teaching in Utah and all these places, I felt like I had not thought a lot about my MVL experience as closely. And then now that I've been back at MVL, it's like each year, this is my third year there, I have new kind of like realizations, like kind of like smells or even water, like in certain locations will bring back like waves of memories.
Wow. The famous MVL water.
Yeah.
Every student talks about that rusty water.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just fun to see how like my brain's kind of bringing back things. And I mean, I remember pretty clearly my junior year thinking seriously about the gifts that God gave me with parents. My dad was a teacher at Bethany here. My mom was a teacher at Bethany. And I thought, what do I want to do? You know, because I have this flexibility of having a college that is going to be gifted to me because of my parents' profession there. I have freedom to kind of choose a direction to go in, freedom that maybe other people wouldn't be able to have. So then what do I want to do with my time? And what do I want to wake up each morning and be excited to go to work for? Not just like 5 years, not 10 years, but like for a long time. What kind of a career path would get me excited to wake up? And yeah, I just thought about the variety of different possibilities. And I remember pretty clearly thinking that you were doing seemed like something that I should try to seriously go in the direction of. Being an art teacher and working specifically with high schoolers with a care for craft, like that craftsmanship matters, that it's not just all about maybe more of like a postmodern, like just do whatever. And like, there's no meaning in it, you know, like just like the actual like tangible skills are important. And I wanted to grow my skills at that point, to be able to communicate the things that I wanted to say. But more than anything, I wanted to work with younger people and help them figure out who they were and kind of what things that they could be influenced. Kind of the mentorship role. I wanted to be in the seat of having a mentorship with people who are curious. And I felt like high school is this great time where people really are acting super confident in knowing everything, but being super lost in every way of. So it's this weird dynamic of helping them calm their confidence down in order to actually listen to the gifts that God's given them and try to find their direction. But at that point, I just thought it'd be a sweet job to wake up every day and do. And your influence in my life, I remember a couple things. Now we're talking about in the classroom, but I feel like that is part of it. You talked about Peter Bloedel, and the way he talked about his family. That's interesting because I remember very distinctly a few moments with your kids where I think there was one moment with Teddy where he was kind of running wild, and you could tell he was, kind of a little bit like going in a direction that wasn't going to be good. and you kind of calmed him down, and you just said, some soft words. You spoke to him like you respected him, like you loved him, and then you could see that interaction with him. And I thought, well, man, that's someone that not only is caring about his students, but is living a life that cares about people just everywhere he goes, including his family. So that was impactful in my desire to be a dad. And I feel like the freedom to have possibilities was shaped a lot by, the influence that you were having at MVL. And not like a structured way. There wasn't like a formula. Sometimes it seemed like in order to trust someone and be vulnerable, you almost have to take a risk. And I think you were doing that risk. You were taking those risks in being vulnerable. You showed up to my high school buddy's band concert.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still have my t-shirt somewhere.
And that process, that was cool. And that's something that I always want to try to emulate in my teaching, that I don't know what's going to happen each week. I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but I do know that there'll be cool opportunities that come up that can just be genuinely caring about someone. And it doesn't have to be like structured and pre-planned. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you don't have to necessarily know ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Just as I'm thinking back, the road, and I probably thank my mom and my parents for this, but like the road to being an art teacher for me, it seemed like I had to jump through a lot of hoops to do this work. So I'm like a qualified art teacher, and I have my master's degree, which was just a long paper. And there's a lot of things that were not art teacher related that I did to be in the position I'm in now. And having a clear goal of what I wanted to do was helpful. But very rarely do you have someone that their junior year of high school, they kind of set a trajectory and it doesn't change that much. Where I was teaching art from online education to smaller school, kind of doing a whole bunch of different hats, to being at a massive high school and leading an art department and kind of getting a chance to create an art department from people that were retiring and pushing the limits of what visual communication and seeing the excitement of people to actually do it and learn the skill, but then also just be able to communicate what they can't do visually or verbally. That's something that it grabs hold. Kids these days want to be able to say things. And oftentimes, especially with text communication, they don't feel comfortable saying things out loud. So visually they can communicate things that maybe they would want to say. And not even that they know what they're saying yet, but they want to go through that process.
I think that's funny because that's what happened to me at Wisco. Like, I just happened to take an art class and art club, and then all of a sudden, like a month down the line, I was in there every single night, just making something, not knowing why or what, but I was just creating. Through that process, I got to learn about like who you are. I had no idea. I come from a background of, for the longest time, I thought I was just gonna be an athlete my whole life. I was gonna be an athlete. I'm gonna get some well-paying job. I'm gonna be an engineer like my family, or this and that. And along that road, God altered it, and I'm here studying art. Whether that is teaching, whether that is freelance work, but it's unexpected. A lot of times, I really believe as artists, there's a moment where you're like, you don't know why you're here, but you know you're doing the right thing. And that's, I think, a key detail of knowing that you're being an artist. Like, this is the course of action.
Okay, so you both just verified a confidence in the path, right? And I had that too. when I was young, I knew for sure. I think I would say like early high school, sophomore year maybe, like this is it. I'm doing this. And I couldn't stop painting. I was just mad painting. But what we talk about in this podcast often leads us to the idea that there's a winding road in life. So often when you talk to an adult about how they got where they are, it's it kind of defies the mythology of go to school, get a major, get a job, and that's your career. That straight line.
Yeah.
But Mike, you're saying that was you. You just went right for it. And that's where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jack, you're describing this situation where like you're sure.
Yeah, now I am.
Maybe the winding road just resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was a little winding before.
It was a little windy until about 8 months ago.
Wow. It's fresh.
Yeah. Was it this summer? I wasn't even supposed to come to Bethany. I didn't submit my application until 2 weeks of when athletes moved in. So that's like middle of August. Like
Down to the wire.
people were on campus when I submitted my application. And I was supposed to go to Stevens Point. I was following this athlete trajectory, and I wasn't happy. Like I felt like there was something wrong with this decision of going there. And I went on a mission trip to Antigua through Wisco. And on that mission trip, I talked to a pastor, and I got 2 text messages that night. One from Mr. Wiechmann here, and one from Mrs. Bauer back at Wisco, saying the same thing, which was, are you sure this is what you needed to do? What about vocation? What about doing something greater than yourself? At Stevens Point, I was going for self-glorified purposes, to become like the best artist I could, to be a part of the first ever soccer program there. This is all glory for yourself. And then I remember a conversation me and you had, Jason, and that was about vocation. And that was like a 5-hour conversation in the drawing room. And it was...
Was it really?
It was a long time.
When you were on like a tour?
Yeah, we were there till like 8. Because it was the same group of people actually. And we got Chipotle around lunchtime. And then we didn't leave there until like 8. And we were just talking. And that was my junior year. And then senior year, a new opportunity came, and I was like, this is better. Stevens Point. And then I came back to Bethany. I was like, no, it's not. Bethany's the place to be. This place is special. Just from the couple months I've been here, you can feel it. There's something in the air, especially for creatives.
I think about like God's pathway too. I mean, am I an art teacher if kind of that same energy of just like being really passionate about something, like your influence, the lady that influenced you? Bill Bukowski had that same kind of like, I am just passionate about the Beatles, the Packers, and painting.
That's right.
Get on board.
And film.
And film, yes.
Classic film.
Yeah.
Any film, really.
Yeah. But, these are, as I was thinking about from your, like you talked about what kind of a teacher am I? You do grab these influences, and I think of myself as a studio artist too. I think those 2 things have to go hand in hand. If you're a studio artist, you're going to be an influence to people around you as a Christian who is making things, but as a teacher who is also making things. I had people that were doing that, and that was really important to me. And generosity was important to me. I remember Eric Ouren had a show. He's got a new one up right now at Bethany, but he had a show where he used, I think, clay from Bethany, and he made cups. I don't know if it was 300 of them or something. And then it was, you pay how much you think it's worth and what you have, and you can take take one of these home or a couple of these home. So it was a trust, right? It's a risk that's being taken. Because obviously you could get into that situation and have people just take the cups. That was an act of generosity too. Like, I'm going to trust people. I'm going to trust them with this thing that I made that's kind of precious, and I don't have to hold on to it like it has to have this level of preciousness. And I think that was influential. Andy Overn had an influence in a almost like a battlefront way for me as a painter. Was pushing away from digital stuff, but learning the digital stuff because I knew as a teacher it was going to be needed. And then my first job out of college was basically to teach graphic design and create content for how to teach art online. But my big class that I had was media arts and graphic design. Like, that was my job. And then I was paid to create content for online teaching. And then just seeing the pathways of like who these people were as I'm trying to figure out what is my classroom look like, how is it organized, and then each year an iteration of refining that, trying to find what the best balance of that looks like, for my students for them to be able to find a similar experience in a classroom that cares about craftsmanship, and it cares about quality, but it also cares about each other.
So, Jack, you've been his student.
Yes, for 2 years.
Is this sounding familiar?
Yeah. You did that at Wisco, and it was noticed. But for me personally, you didn't even have to be in the room. We used to joke about how I would be in the art room more than you were.
Yeah, that's probably
as a
true.
teacher. And
you're saying the teacher didn't even have to be in the room?
No, Mr. Wiechmann didn't even have to be in the room for that influence to be there.
Yeah.
Could
you say more about that?
Yeah. How many actual drawing classes did I take from you? 2?
Yeah, I think you're in 2 of my classes.
There's 2, and one was graphic design, but we don't have to talk about that class. Yeah, I only took 2 classes from Mr. Wiechmann, all 4 years in my high school career, because he left halfway through. But in those 2 classes, it was apparent that quality mattered, but it mattered individually. Like, if it was the best work you can produce. And that lingers, that stays, because you want to constantly improve. And it wasn't like comparing to someone else. I fear if compared to other people at Wisco at the time, I would have been down a hole, because there's really, really talented people there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was made known that it's going to be okay to suck for a little bit, but get better. Keep going.
So
do it every day.
You were pretty new at this at the time.
Yeah, I think I was very new. The only time I've ever did art was with my sister, just messing around.
Mm-hmm.
And then took a drawing class because it's an easy A.
Now I want to tell you. Okay, so yeah, maybe we'll get to the easy A.
Well, I'd like to comment on, the one thing that I think goes throughout all maybe fields is work ethic, and that was something I noticed in the second time I had Jack in class. It was his desire to not be satisfied with that first attempt at something. So, you give assignment that you're giving, I've done a lot because it builds towards skills that are important, and it would be like, oh, here's the first one, but here's the next 3 that I did. And that's when I started really pushing on you to start honing. And yeah, he would message me like a picture of the sunset from the studio, and that it's a big enough space that I felt like, again, I was maybe taking a risk, but I didn't want to get in the way of someone who is really dialing in this communication method. And with that idea of that idea of his skill set, it was fun because I came back for the art shows each year's. So that would have been his junior and his senior year. And I felt like it was, an art show is a beautiful thing because you get to see the strokes and the motions that happened throughout the year all in one time. So even though I wasn't present in the class, I could see what he was doing. And that's a cool thing with visual arts is you get to this track record of history that's left on the canvas or in the sculpture. And what I saw was someone that's like really doing some cool things and searching, but doing it in the right spot, not in his brain, but on the canvas or on the cardboard or whatever it was. And then I saw people coming to him because anytime you start doing this, and I have that right now in my classes with, students that are doing it at a high level or really pushing it, all of a sudden they're getting, question marks from people. Hey, could you do this? Could you do this? And Jack started getting that. And you could see that work, it wasn't a letdown. Sometimes a little pressure will mean that you make things that are lesser because you're nervous or you tighten up and you get more, you try to have more control over it than maybe you need to. So then, I really I think, God brings people into your life and my role as a teacher is to not think of it like a space that, well, they're not in my class, so I guess I don't have influence on them. I try intentionally to be in communication with that person. And not everyone that comes from my class, but a handful of people each year. Yeah. Or less even. Mm-hmm. And to, I don't know. I remember, Jason, you and I staying connected and doing things that were unique, snow sculpting in Ely, helping you out with different creative projects that you needed a hand with, getting invitation to do things creatively, and no expectations that you have to do it, but just an opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I'm in my work, I'm trying to do something similar with just opening opportunities. And Jack took those opportunities and really leaned in.
Almost took him too far. I was going. Like, I was really pushing the limit of it was a big risk of art. I've never liked school. I've never been like a book nerd, and art consumed my life for about 2 years. And I was so productive. I think over 100 artworks within the year, whether they were good or bad, but you were just productive, and everything else kind of fell off. But it fell off to the point where I knew it didn't matter. I knew that this was my purpose, and if I'm passing these things, then let me focus on the thing that God's calling me to do, which can be a dangerous line of thought. But for me, that
can be hard to argue, hard to understand. Like,
but at least for me, it's
report card. Sorry, but I found my purpose.
There's a lot of hard conversations with my parents about it. Sorry, Mom.
But I had that experience too, where, like, almost exactly what you're saying. I was academically ineligible my junior year and I quit the football team. I was a good football player, actually.
More lore.
There's more lore. Led the JV squad in tackles. I was a co-captain, middle linebacker. Man, could I tackle. I took everybody down, right? Little guy, they don't expect it. But I quit. And my coach could not understand when I told him, I got to spend more time painting. Mm-hmm. That just, like, it had like, he couldn't hear me, right? And really, I think my dad couldn't hear me too. And like, so my point is, like, it can really take hold.
Yeah, it's a firm grip.
If you find painting or some means of expression where, I don't know, like, if you find the right way in, it's got you for life. Like, Bill is right. Beatles, Packers, and man, painting is the most fun you can have.
I think there's phases then you go through where you want to like go back to like to have the time to do it. So right now in my life, I have plenty of things going on with new baby. So that's child number 6, and teaching and online stuff. And I set myself up for windows. So I work like crazy hard for like 3 months without painting. But I'm doing that so that I can set myself up for a couple months of painting. So the balance of,
so you can be that kid again.
so that I can do something that I don't know what's going to happen with.
Yeah.
Because like when you start something like that, like when you go down a pathway of a communication that's visual, yeah, you, there's an unknown that you want to search out.
That's part of the appeal. It's like you're going on safari.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's out there.
And I'm working right now in my classroom with a whole bunch of painters that 3 weeks ago were not painters because they were in total control. So I'm structuring things that slowly make them, they're drawing with paint, and that's different than painting in my mind.
I understand.
So right now that's just like so fun. And the ceramics room, I don't know how to get there yet. That's something that maybe down the line
It's a different beast.
Yeah.
It's a very different temperament from painting.
Yeah. But I have sculpture students that are doing it in AP right now who are kind of basically painting with these materials, and that's really fun to see, because like as you add a material or as you add a shape, it changes the story, and it's a different.
You're using painting as sort of like a metaphorical state of mind or something.
Well, I'm just trying to say that it's not just painting that I think has this capturing of your flow state, and that it can be other materials after you've kind of mastered or explored to the point where you can do what you want with it.
You have to earn that.
Yeah.
Being a beginner, means you're just. Remember Richard Bresnahan, when you visited me at the St. John's Pottery, he would say, you've just shaken hands with the material.
Mm-hmm.
You have to develop a relationship, he would say.
Mm-hmm.
In order to be friends with it, you have to spend time.
Yeah. So like right now, I am close to a window where I'm going to paint, but the first 3 weeks isn't ever going to be an actual attempt at communicating something. It's like get back into that specific material.
And you're implying that you need to create space for deep work.
Yeah.
Where you're concentrating.
Yep. Yeah. And also just create, like reactivate something that's dormant when I'm doing these other tasks, when I'm focused on these other elements. So I don't know if there's too many other things in my life that are like that, where you have to like reactivate it. Yeah. It's not like riding a bike. Like when I get back on a bike, I can do all the things I used to be able to do on a bike. But when I paint, I have to work with it. And then I'm like able to kind of go in a different direction, or in a direction that I used to be able to do. I don't know if that tracks.
I think it does.
I'm with you.
I think that tracks specifically to a moment of headspace I'm at right now. There's been like this urge in me from creating that I need to get back to a place where I was. And that place was in that Wisco art room of being a novice, not knowing what I'm doing. I think I'm becoming more aware of concepts of art and like how to paint and how this, which can lead to me thinking, oh, I know how to do this. I don't. And that's important to know, like that each time you have a blank canvas, you kind of don't really know how it's going to go. And I was struggling because in my mind there was a place where I always thought this needed to be. And recently I've discovered through conversations that that's not how that works. That the canvas talks to you. The process of creating is communicating within yourself, even if you're not realizing it. Each line, each stroke of a brush, it's a change. And then you have to react to the change over and over again. And I don't think I've ever painted something how I first envisioned it. And I think that's important for me to remember, especially right now.
Yeah, that what you just described, that sort of internal communication, or you said the canvas talks to you. I've recently discovered that that's not a common thought outside the studio. People don't necessarily understand that that happens for artists, but I think artists instantly sort of recognize that, yeah, that's what we're always doing. Sometimes we're spectators to the thing we do.
I think about, as we're kind of tying in influence to this, I mean, the process too for me to get ready to work is to study too. So like in these times when I'm not actively making things, I view that as like, well, my opportunity then is to study and to have influences kind of still soaking in. And that's just seeing, obviously there's artists out there that are someone that's been doing it at a very high level that you can research more, or just kind of get maybe going through another book or, something like that of their work. There's new artists. There's people in your life that are making things that you want to check in on, podcast thoughts and things like that. But that process of constantly searching for influence, and very rarely does it scrolling for influence. I feel like that influence is forgotten pretty quickly. So who in your life do you want to talk to more? Call those people. Search for it actively, I guess, is advice I would give. And don't hesitate to ask people what they're doing, or research it. Open doors for the possibility that people could influence you.
I'm hearing a stance. There's a pattern in some of this, like the active seeking influence actively. So the opposite side of that might be the scrolling, as like a passive influence. Mm-hmm. And let's say the work ethic that you saw in Jack, there's kind of an active stance towards, I'm going to get it. I'm going to go get it. I'm not going to let it, get away or whatever. I'm not going to let you've got your hand on the steering wheel. Mm-hmm. Regarding these things. And that I'm really interested in the idea of like mental stance.
Yeah.
Your relationship to the work that you're doing. I'm interested because I think it transfers all over the place. It transfers to how you think school should go, right? A passive idea would be like, in school, a passive idea would be basically like, stay out of trouble. Do whatever you need to do to just like get the grade, or, send the excuse, whatever. Like, mm-hmm. Your motive is very like at the bottom of the expectation. Mm-hmm. And then the other side of that is like Norah, our missing guest host.
Yeah.
We found out that she was auditing twice as many classes as she was registered for. right? That's
Yeah.
the total opposite end of how to school, right?
Yeah.
That's active. That's a stance. Like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it all.
I think I see that. I mean, high school is a great opportunity to see both those existences all at the same time. And the excuses people use, the excuses I use certain times of my life. What are some ways to see those excuses coming, or to get yourself out of those excuses? And influence and mentorship can drag you there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that these years teaching, I am more well prepared to drag kids out of their excuses, that I wish I would have been, even when Jack was like in my classroom.
Well, Mike, I have to say, I think you are a master at seeing people. You really, like, you just see right through people, and you understand really deeply how a person is motivated and what they need. You are gifted.
And that, I would say that's my dad's influence for sure. And that psychology, I was a psychology minor, and I always, when you're raised in a household of someone who's teaching psychology, that's just, I think, just something that's soaked in throughout your existence. But I
want to keep complimenting you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
No, but I'm going to.
Yeah,
the generosity thing that you mentioned,
yeah.
Like learning about generosity, also is a potent combination with that ability to see people, because I've seen you know exactly what somebody needs and then give it, or they didn't even know it. Or let's say the way that you donate artwork.
Yeah.
You were leaving paintings around Milwaukee for a while.
Yeah.
I found a styrofoam cup with $1 in it outside my truck one morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Generosity, an abundance mindset, that, that's a kind of the scriptural idea that God has given you an abundance. And you don't have to hold as tightly to things.
But in your hands, that feels giddy.
Yeah, it's so fun. Well, it isn't at first.
Yeah.
It's a muscle that you build.
Yeah.
And now it's like my favorite thing for me and my wife to talk about, because we have $200 every month we get to spend on just what does that look like? And that's what that's, in our time when we talk, what a fun thing to talk about. How we use this, and
so you're saying like your budget. You're talking about your monthly
budget is
money.
Yep, $200 of generosity, and it started at 20, and then just as our finances have increased, so does that opportunity.
But that's about priority, because you could just spend that on Starbucks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right, and you wouldn't even know it's gone.
It is about priority, and it's about trust more than anything. Trust that manna will be there in the morning. And it's time. And I would say generosity of time is something that you, Jason, is a strength of yours that I'm sure Jack has seen, even though I haven't seen him see it. Because your ability to be present in a moment and listen and take time for people is something that is uncommon and takes work. Like, that's something I've always worked on since you were, in my high school classroom. I wanted to be less angry in high school. Like my future self, one thing I wanted to be is calmer and more patient. And a better listener. And a lot of that influence of those things were coming directly from your relationship with your students. And I think that as I've seen you over the last, 20 years, it seems like you've even become more patient and like a better listener. And so I've tracked and like got better at the things, but like then you're just like next level. Like, yeah, it's just fun to see. And that's a generosity thing that I'm working towards in that regard, because my structures that the things I'm trying to accomplish sometimes they're louder, and maybe I want to be, I don't know. It's just that balance of what are you going to try to accomplish with your time versus being present in that moment with the people around you.
Mm. That is a trade, and it's central to the way I think about what's happening in the classroom, and I have to learn it over and over.
Mm-hmm.
I've had episodes, and by episodes I mean like 3-year runs, where I forget that having a plan is nice. It feels comfortable. It feels good to feel like you know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of like, the trade is that it kills the room.
Yeah. And
your affiliation to the plan is felt.
Yeah.
So I've learned, like these are sliders, you're just going to like play with your affiliation to the moment or your affiliation to the plan.
Yeah. I think people that listen to this will be more in that like future mentors or mentors right now. And I think that the people that are looking up to you, or the people that will look up to you, they need to be seen, and they need to be busy. Like, you need to give them something to do, because that unlocks something that until you activate movement with their hands or movement with their mind, they aren't going to care.
Mm-hmm.
But the second you activate it and you maybe prove to them that they could learn something, just a simple something about joy, or something about laughing, or something about being productive, or something about doing a skill that they didn't know that they could do, that unlocks then the ability to have more influence.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like, even if I get into a room,
plan, right?
Yeah.
The plan is what, like, that's the activator.
Yeah. And those are those are things that maybe you redo every year. Mm-hmm. They're just like, oh yeah, that works. That tracks. I don't need to redo that one. And I know, a lot of people that I've seen have kind of these systems in place where it's like, oh, I do this and then I do that. And maybe you've seen it before, but you're kind of like, oh yeah, I went through that process too. But then after that, it seems like it doesn't track the same. Like, each group's going to get a little different version of something, or like you're saying, being in the room and seeing the people that are in the room and what they need. But as an art teacher, we got to get our hands busy. Like, you have to be tracking, or else you're going to drive each other crazy. You have to be doing something. You have to set some sort of a goal for yourself. And then my role is to help you reach that, as well as help you get out of your way. That's my job. Help you get out of your way.
So I remembered what I forgot earlier. Remember the big silence?
Yeah.
So it has to do with what you're just saying now. Because Jack, you sort of like exploded on the scene here.
Yeah.
When Jack arrived, the painting room knew it. He wasn't in class, right? But he sort of found us and hung around a little while, and then we started talking and said, well, yeah, you could have an easel, right? Well, then he like carries an easel in. He's got his own easel, right? And before long, there's paintings like all over the place, and he's commandeered another easel, and and people can't believe how much is coming out of this guy, and it's good.
It was like,
Who is this?
yeah, I was dormant. I was in season.
Well, but that's not the point. The point is, a couple years before, you didn't think art was your thing, right?
Yeah.
And there's something for people to hear there, and then there's also, Mike, it worked, right? Like that the system did it, where you got Jack busy on something, he had some success, the work ethic probably came from being an obsessive soccer player, something like that, or you've told me about working with your dad, right? You know how to hustle, you know how to build and work. But now you made an artist. Some people don't think that happens. Some people think that, like, some people are just sort of predestined, chosen, like, you've always been an artist, you know. Yeah. But in this story, in Jack's story, he didn't know until recently. And now he's like, we've heard him say he's all in, and we've seen him go ham. And now you're backed up. You got jobs like crazy.
Oh, yeah, we're backed up.
Yeah, which is exciting to see.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a sub point there. I don't think you know this, but when you left, I think that's when you had the most influence on me.
Oh, you're coming back to him not even having to be in the room.
Yes. Not even in the state.
So when you said that, I was picturing like he's getting coffee down at the lounge.
Yeah, I took a call, so it had been in your end of your sophomore year.
So what you're saying is like he doesn't work here anymore, but he still has influence.
Yeah. So here's what happened. Mr. Wiechmann, you built all of my skill. This freshman, sophomore year, he gave me all this ability, this skill, this knowledge of this is how it's supposed to be. And then it gets to the point of where, okay, you can take AP classes and demonstrate this. And then Mr. Wiechmann goes, bye-bye. And now I had to navigate by myself for the first time. But I wasn't by myself. I had this influence, this knowledge from him, from other art teachers there. It was something I learned during that AP course because my AP teacher was also new. Miss Rosenberg didn't really know what she was doing. And so there was this learning curve for everybody. And for me to actually learn, I looked within from what other people already taught me. So that influence lasts. And it's like a gift that keeps giving. It's like a good piece of art.
But you activate it, right?
You have to witness it.
You contemplate it. You reflect. It gets better if you care about it.
Yeah. That's the most important part, I think.
I thought about how to leave, and maybe that's a mentorship kind of thing. Because it wasn't like I was running away from something. It was something I was really passionate about. That's a tricky thing. How do you leave people and not have it seem like it's something that they did? Especially high schoolers. That is a challenge. I made like a farewell video that was probably pretty cheesy, if but I was just trying to do anything to say, you know what, this is not me leaving because of something that you high schoolers are doing or the ministry that I was doing there. It's me being in a chair that had a big influence on me, like that MVL and what MVL is has the possibility of being a multiplier. So the person that brings the art kind of creative balance to a school and and MVL specifically, and what they have in regards to a student population that can multiply out, especially with Bethany right here, and just that continued, I don't know, care about the arts, and I don't know, it was really unique, but I still love Wisco a lot. Like, it's such a cool ministry, and they just a little bit about them, like, when I came in, it was me and one other retired teacher who was teaching part-time. And right now they have basically 3 full-time art teachers and then one other person who does more than half-time work.
Was that Leanne Ross?
Yeah. Well, so she retired. I took her spot. So we both had.
Let me just note that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I want you to get back to the Wisco situation, but there's another circuit there.
Yeah.
So to be clear for our listeners, we call them readers, you're in the position that I was in when you were my student, right? Same place. You are now the art teacher at MVL. Well, when you went to Wisco and replaced Leanne, she was the teacher that was at MVL before me, teaching art. And she basically wrote the curriculum that I stepped into, that Ben Lunston inherited. Now you've inherited.
Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of stuff I think is just wild. Like, nobody plans that, and there it is.
And I think about MVL too, like the track of people that came out and have come out of MVL that are creative artists. It's an testament that there's a little bit of a formula. The ability to, like, when you look at the work that you did there, the work that you're doing here at Bethany, Jason, the formula is, I feel like, someone who cares deeply about the work they're doing in the studio, and then they also care deeply about the people that God's brought into their life in their classroom. And that is interesting from my perspective, being someone who went to Wisconsin Lutheran High School for 4 years only. And I really deeply wanted to be rooted there because I wanted to have influence over the course of a long period of time. But just the way that formula activated people into the art room, when I left, I think it went from about, I wanted to say, I don't know the stats, but I think it was like 180 seats were filled in the course of a year. My first year there, and when I left, it was over 600. That's a formula of someone who cares about a craft, believes that it matters, that visual communication or that communicating needs to happen, and cares deeply about the students. That is something that's come from mentors in my life. You know what I mean? Like I don't just stumble into that. It's just mimicking people that have done that in my life.
Yeah.
And then to leave that situation and view myself as like a bridge, and now our teachers that are there having these kind of similar things. Like, I went back for art club, and it's just this full space of these kids, not structured, this is what we're doing for art club, but just making things and laughing and organically being together, because the art room brings people together, but then also being okay, being vulnerable. And I think the art room does that too. Because in order to show someone something that you've made, you have to trust them. It's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even it's an intense thing for me. I'll draw right around my students, and I still have this like, all right,
supposedly I know how to do this.
You got to be brave. Like,
yeah.
You're trust. Like, I have to be brave in this situation. I know it's not, these lines aren't all right.
This is another thing that I
Yeah.
think people outside don't get.
The bravery.
The bravery part or the scary part.
Yeah.
I think the art room can be branded as therapy in like a fluffy way.
Mm-hmm.
I think, therapy in like an ugly, hard way is true.
Yeah.
Or just intense. There can be an intensity to the experience that can really be terrifying.
It's really emotional. And it's emotional to the point where sometimes you don't realize how emotional it is. And for me, that looked like when I stopped coming to there's a period of time where I didn't have an art room. And that was like the first month here in college. And it was emotional. I witnessed it was emotional because there was a lack of emotion.
Mm.
I was just going through motions.
That was before we had you carry your easel in the door.
Yeah, it's before I carried my easel through the door. But as soon as I got there, it's like an overwhelming feeling. And you're just like, I can't really describe it.
Well, that's why you paint.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're taking all these feelings you have, no idea what you're doing. Like, no idea what you're feeling. And all of a sudden you're doing something. Those feelings come out.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to know. You have to start.
That's okay.
And I think this generosity concept and the abundance mindset is directly related to art, and the arts in general. That we have a God who knows us, who's taken care of us, and has given us what we need. And we are different than other created beings. And so we have this opportunity to trust that God and reflect on the beauty with visual things, but also just to trust that we don't only need to survive, that we don't only need to make enough food to eat, and that we don't need to just survive, that we need to see beauty, that we need to seek it in our lives, and that we need to invest in it. And I think that so many times when you talk about the scariness of the art room, the art room, one of the first things I do is I try to break that wall down, and we do like something that it's like no see drawings, where you're basically not able to look at your drawing, so you disassociate from judging yourself and each line you're making. That's so essential to not just judge every single line you're making as you're making it, comparing it to your neighbor, because that's a scary thing, and that's going to not end up having you be an artist that does more than one class, or an artist that keeps seeking this. I don't know if there's like my wife has a story of like basically one person in her life that was in that art teacher role that made her embarrassed and almost shameful about the things that she did, and that changed the trajectory of her life. And that's one of my fears, I guess, because I'm more direct maybe with my feedback out of, I guess, the desire to show that not every mark's going to be great right away. But I don't want my students, and I try to communicate that as much as possible, that like, I'm not saying this to turn you away. I'm saying this to have you dig deeper.
Like a coach would.
Yeah.
You got more.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm not that good at that, like I'm not sure, but you had momentum. Keep going.
No, and I don't know what the formula is. And like you're saying, the sliders, that's so good. Like, and I think each person has their own kind of slider. You're trying to, as a someone in that role, trying to figure out what level, Where are you pushing? Where do you push too far? And what motivates them? So what motivates them will be totally different than what motivates the next kid.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, not necessarily like, but some kids it's like, oh, like the only thing going to activate you is a grade. Until I break through that, but it takes some time. And you just want to see movement forward. And sometimes they're just so stuck in, I just need to do what I need to do. And then I'm just going to sit. Like inactivity is something that drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because there's a assumption under it about what this is.
Yeah. Yeah. The bell rings, and then the bell rings again.
That's right.
And I'm just making it through.
Yeah. That's about like behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Not staying out of trouble, you know?
Yeah.
Like I did what you told me to do. What more do you want?
Yeah.
Got a bunch of notes here. Let's see if there's anything in there. The idea of becoming is something that I heard a little bit about from all of us, and kind of there's an intentionality in what we seem to think we want to be someday, or there was, right? With Jack is sort of, he's younger us. This is a time machine. And that's what's fascinating to me about this group of three, because, Mike, you're able to look both directions.
Yeah.
Right? You can talk about me as a teacher. You can talk about Jack as a student. But Jack, you're at the bottom end of that spectrum here. And, you got a little bit of rear view mirror in this realm, but really, for you, it's mostly about who you want to become.
Yeah.
Is there any way for you to describe who you want to become, or what your vision of your future is?
Yeah. This is something I'm wrestling with currently, especially after when we went to Gustavus. There's
Let me just flesh that story out.
Go for it.
So Jack and I were up in Coon Rapids recently, looking at a church to kind of assess for art service a project. And on the way home, I decided, we're on 169, and I'm going to take a right turn here, and we're going to go up to Gustavus because I want to show Jack the Paul Granlund sculptures all over campus, because I think he'd be into it.
Yeah.
And so we walked around.
And I had no interest in sculpting before that. And it never connected with me. I was like, this is cool. I'm going to learn it eventually because it's good to have in your skill set. And I saw Paul Granlund, and I'm like, this is why you sculpt. I get it now.
This is like 3 days ago.
Yeah. Something about me is I take a lot of time out of my life to process things. And so I processed that. It took me a day. Maybe that's why I was tired.
Yeah, maybe you just like rewrote your whole brain.
Yeah. But okay, back to what do I want to become? It's hard because you have only so much time in your life. And as an athlete, you fall into this mindset of I want to be the best. Like you're looking for like this glory. You're looking for like, how do I do this? For me, that's not necessarily the case. For me, I like contributing to a society. I like contributing to a whole. And for me, I think what I want to become is, like, here, I want to paint a picture. I want to be the container of all these other influences I have, and then funnel it to people behind, like people that are going to come after me, like to continue this circle of 3 people. I want to continue this trend because what we're all doing and talking about is important. And this is the whole thing about art. you're communicating, and that communication doesn't happen in a timeline. It's not like a video. You're continually communicating over and over and over again. And so in doing so, for me, I want to communicate Christ, like a vocation of like this is not like the solution, but this is what we're supposed to be doing, like to be the called disciples of Christ. This is what art is for me. I want to use art in as many ways possible to get people towards Christ. So what does that look like?
Right. So we're trying to figure out what kind of artist you're becoming.
And
you just stated like a philosophy or something along
let's
those
get
lines.
Specific.
Yeah, right.
Do you become a painter? Do you become a sculptor? There's dangerous of becoming it all. But I've never liked being calm. I think I want to do it all, and including the sculpture, that includes motion graphics, that includes graphic design. So now I'm at the point of like, there's a lot of things I need to want to get good at, and for me, it's going to be contemplating a list of what's most important and what am I best at, and how can I reach the most people. And I really think it's everything. I really think it's it's gonna be hard.
You know what you did? You talked about the desire to be the best in sports, and you just transferred it.
Yep, to be the best in art.
Yeah,
to do it all.
and I want to validate. I've been working at validating and finding the language for this, because there's a missing vocabulary around this. And I think this is about being a good steward of your gifts. You invest your gifts, you make them grow, you get as good as you possibly can, because it makes you of more service.
Exactly. I was not, let me clarify, I was not talking about being the greatest compared of the world. Like, I want to be the greatest artist in the world. That's not what I'm getting at. I was getting at being the greatest I can become through God. With all the gifts he's given me, I want to use every single one of those gifts to the maximum potential I can.
It's a good goal.
Speaking of which, there's Norah.
Hello.
She just came back from rehearsing Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Right?
Crazy.
Okay, so welcome back.
Thank you.
What do you want to become?
Ooh. That's
What kind of artist are you becoming?
I'm not sure yet. I was actually just thinking about how I'm like, I've got to ask Jason this sometime. I want to ask him what career he thinks I should have. Because I don't know yet. And I don't think that's a giant, I don't think that's a terrible thing. I think I'm still growing my tools right now. I'm still figuring a lot of stuff out. And I know that I'm good at some things and that there's potential in a lot of areas. And I think right now that's really all I need is like, I have something to get the ball rolling, and I have a lot of people who are willing to help me. And so like, it's all right.
It is all right. I think I agree with your answer that now's not the time to know. Now's the time to explore, discover, keep trying. Don't lock in. But earlier in this conversation,
don't lock in, because like that's what everyone's like. I'm getting locked in like that. I hear that like 20 to 40 times a day. Like, because the students just like always
we
say
love
that.
to say that.
Like, oh, I'm getting locked in now. Like that means I'm gonna start doing something.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good stance.
Well, regarding the next several decades,
yeah,
right.
Well, there's a lack of trust then.
Yeah, like let it emerge.
Yeah,
right. Because I believe that once you take on a stance of knowing, once you feel like you know a thing, then you quit wondering, you quit looking, exploring, right? And I don't think you should stop exploring.
I think most people shouldn't. Yeah. And I mean that just comes around to Andy's beautiful quote when he was in here.
Lay it on us again.
You don't have a choice but to trust in God. It's
That's
not,
right.
I guess I'll trust in God now. You actually didn't have another option. Whatever was going to happen was always going to happen. You didn't have a choice.
Yeah, and I keep coming back around to the idea that the future never arrives. It's constantly this imaginary thing. Right. So, like, what career should I have? Well, like, take today. And I think that sounds very irresponsible. It sounds potentially, like you're throwing your life away.
Mm-hmm.
But I know who I'm talking to, right? If I'm answering your question, this is maybe a hard thing about decoding how I operate. Sometimes I'm speaking to the audience that I'm speaking to,
right,
giving them advice. For example, when I go to a museum, I'll sort of detect like who I'm with, and a lot of times, somebody will not like a certain kind of art, and so I'll defend that kind because that person needs to give that a chance. So my advice shifts,
Right.
And in your case, I know you're not going to throw your life away.
I appreciate your confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the work that you're putting in now is what you should be doing. So what are you becoming? You're becoming the moments that you put in today. And that's shaping who you are. So the idea that you can just turn it on like a light switch, oh, well, after high school or after college, then I'll turn on the work ethic. Then I'll turn on the curiosity. Like after I finish this task, like then I'll trust in God, or then I'll, like you're saying, like there isn't like some future moment where you have to step up. And I think some of the digital issues in our life is everything on your phone is trying to make you feel like you're in control. And that is something that as artists, that's something that as future mentors or mentors right now, that's a battle that needs to realize that it's a battlefront that needs to be addressed. I would say underneath this desire for control, your phone is something that's working against your spiritual Christian faith.
Yeah.
It can also work towards it though. Like the reason I showed up to this podcast tonight is because I set an alarm and I'm not usually at Bethany's campus on 9 to whatever time we get done.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I think control is a very interesting. I was just talking to some of my friends about this because I think there's this weird, right now, especially in college, and I'm sure that this will continue after the fact, there's this weird thought that like the things that I'm anxious about or dealing with now, if I just get those done, I can be calm then. So I have these assignments for this week. Once I get them done, then I won't be anxious anymore. Or then once school ends, or once I'm used to my job again. Like,
so answer
that's
that.
when
Like,
it's going
what's
to
the
end.
flip side? The alternative.
Does.
Yeah, right. It never stops.
And
there's
it never
always
does.
something.
And so I keep finding myself thinking that and being like, okay, once I finish these assignments, then I can go and sit and read my book. Or then I can go and mess around with some clay or something like that. And it I'm still definitely working on this. I'm not really that good at it yet, but just being like, that's not how it works. Like, it's not, I think what I'm saying extends further into, I should not be waiting to give the things that I'm worried about to my God. Like, I shouldn't be like, being
it's
like
not
once,
about the circumstances.
yeah,
It's about your attitude.
it's a practice. It's not like when this works. It always. It's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the same thought as like the future, right? Is this sort of imaginary out there?
Mm-hmm.
You just always have the present.
Yeah. I mean, whenever that occurs to me, I am trying to make the second thought after I finish these things, then I'll be all right. I'm trying to make the second thought always, no, I have to let it go right now.
I have to be all right now.
I have to be all right now. I am
all right.
Yes.
Now.
Yeah.
In my car, I have a little thing. It's like just typed out. It was something my dad, you have these like little, you press in the letters and then it types out and then it prints it out.
Yeah. A label maker.
A label maker. There you go. Uh-huh. And we were talking about ideas around the dinner table and then he started typing it out for everyone and we all got like an I am okay. Like a stance, like I'm okay. And
present tense.
Yeah. I'm blessed. And busyness is a beautiful thing. And balancing that fine line of pushing yourself, but realizing that you have to be present with the people around you that God's put in your life. That's a tricky thing.
So let me refine that. Busyness is a beautiful thing. I think will be a surprising thing for some people to hear. But what about, could we say that hurry or panic is not a beautiful thing? Or this is a little too absolute, but let's say busyness and being in a hurry or panicked is not the same thing.
Yeah. I think, well, in your regards of like trusting in God, like right now, that's a skill you'll get better at. Like I have no doubt about that. You can grow this in your day through whatever system that is. And it's not something that like it'll get easier. Like
that's encouraging.
Like and I also think that just looking to people that are in your life that are maybe doing it at a influencing you in good ways, like the chaplain. I think here at Bethany does a fantastic job of kind of doing a good example of slowing down and listening, but also having things that are happening. And there's people that are here at this school or in your life that you can look to and help them influence you in that. But I don't know. I think, you know what I want you to do if you're looking at your job. And that's something different between me and you. Like, and Jason and I think Jason is going to leave possibilities on the table. And I think I have more in the tendency to just say like, you know what? I think you should be an art teacher because you are so curious about things. You care about people so much and you care about craft and like you have the thing that's like some people are really into the making things, but they can't do the relationship part of it. And you don't have to listen. Like I don't have to be someone in your life that you're like, you know what? That person said that. You can just like ignore it. But I'm not in my existence. I've always just said the things to the people and then I don't know, they take them or they don't, but I don't know. I think that no matter what you do, people are going to look up to you, which is cool. Like that's a sweet role to be in.
There's been that thread throughout this conversation where you're talking about the future people listening to this or the people who will be influential in the future.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing. I just want to bring that to our attention. Like you just said to Norah that people will look up to you. That's I think we're just learning about how you operate, right? Like what's in your attention. you actually are about the future. You know, like
Yeah.
you're thinking that way.
Yeah. Maybe that's a tendency of the fact that I get 4 years with people usually. Like
2.
yeah, or 2. And yeah, that in my calling, my work is with these individual kids that come into my room, whether they love art or not, or, you know, whatever their reasons are for signing up for the class. Like, okay, let's go. Some people I got for 1 year, 1 semester, you know, and then others I get for 4 years, and then you stay in touch with them. But that level of mentorship is something that I don't know.
Same.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know.
You feel uncomfortable with it, but I'm not hesitant to say that it's happening. I'm more hesitant to say, like, if it's a good happening. Like,
Well, it's a little sloppy,
Uncomfortable with it.
you know, like it's just, it's all out there, you know, there's all kinds of stuff.
it's like anything with vulnerability. And that's been my theme. My school year theme last year was to be vulnerable. This year it's people who need people are the best kind of people. That was something my dad said.
People who need people are the best kind of people.
Yeah.
I think your dialogue is transcending the table a little bit, because we've got 2 mentors talking to each other. What do you mean? What do you mean uncomfortable with it, or it's all on the table? Like, what are you talking about in the context of mentorship?
Oh, well,
when you say things like that.
Mike was saying that he doesn't quite know if it's good, right? And my
What's good?
the mentoring that he's doing, like
Yeah.
he said, I know it's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good, but I know it's happening.
Yeah.
And my reaction to that is, yeah, because like it's more than can be recorded. It's more than can be known or planned, because it's like a relationship. It's humanity as well as content.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean.
That makes sense.
So I think in the art if you ask people, like, who are the most influential people in your high school experience, like, I would say an art teacher is going to be at most places, if they have a decent art teacher, that's going to be on the list, you know, top 5 probably.
Yeah.
Because my role at the school is cultural development. So what's the culture at your high school? I would say that if you look at a school with a bad culture, it's directly related to the visual arts department.
That's such a cool idea.
That is a hot take. It's fiery.
I'm kind of that's so interesting, and I'm going to be thinking about
But
that. all the
I
time.
just had a talk with someone who's his school doesn't have a good culture, and I said that they need to invest in visual arts education.
Well,
because that's where your cultures and just the arts in general are going to build a culture that will change the people there to be able to see each other and realize that there's more skills out there that can be encouraged and cheered on, because people otherwise are so lost at a school because they don't think they have a purpose there.
mm-hmm.
They don't think they have a purpose in this world.
Yeah.
Like the people that really find purpose in the art room, that could be making things with art, or that could just be in the art room in general. That purpose is something that can happen at a school that has a strong fine arts program.
Yeah.
Drama. You just
Okay.
came from drama production.
Yeah,
Like-
I want to connect with Norah here because so what part of what you missed in the conversation is the connections,
Yep.
and the fact that this is kind of a circuit of influence.
Right.
So
Boom, boom, boom.
I did not have art classes in high school, and I really, really wanted it. I really wanted it. What was your high school experience like for regarding art?
we had art classes, but they were more of a kind of art history and crafts class. And I believe I took an art history class. And so essentially, no, we did not have a visual arts. Like, that was not a thing.
You know, like
we didn't have a studio. We didn't have they just used a normal classroom.
And you had more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I just want to make that clear. But maybe not in the same league as, say, Jack's Wisco experience.
Yeah.
Mike just said by the time he left, there were like 600 art students.
Mm-hmm. That's wild.
Seats filled, yeah.
It's just crazy to me. But okay, so this is our connection.
Right. I had more than you did, I agree. And I also didn't know that there could be something like an art program like you have even at MVL. I was like, no. So I didn't miss anything because I didn't think that something like that existed.
Yeah.
So I didn't miss having art classes. I was just like, I'll go draw my own. You know what I mean?
Now that's okay. So to me, now I'm going to connect across. Jack and Norah maybe have a similarity here in like suddenly you're a painter. Right? And you definitely are a painter. Like, you really can paint. Well, I think I want our readers to just hear that this can be learned. It can be chased. You have to work like crazy. Like, you basically taught yourself portrait painting last summer by just doing it. You roller skated and you painted portraits.
And cleaned dorm rooms.
And you had a job.
Maybe the cleaning dorm rooms was important, though.
Yeah.
I think that's like good too, to have things that you don't like.
Yeah.
So that you seek after the things that you want.
Yeah.
And like also it's like you have to like I don't know, remind yourself that there's more.
Yeah.
Than just cleaning up dorm rooms, which is I've painted dorm rooms. It's not a fun task.
You find good podcasts though.
You find good podcasts and random shoes that sometimes you take out and wear for a summer or something. Hypothetically.
I'm not sure I want to say what I'm about to say, but when I say that, like, that means I'm going to say it.
You have to say it. I think you're required by law if you bring it up.
So, Mike, maybe around the time you graduated, you know, like, my timeline is just like shot back there. It's just like atmospheric perspective is taken over.
Mm-hmm.
It's an art joke. I remember kind of realizing, like, maybe the way I think about this is antidote. The art room as antidote. And this is why I hesitate, because it feels like a hot take too. Because what does that imply? You know, it kind of implies poison.
Yeah.
But that's for some students.
Yeah.
For some students, the experience of school in general, the way it's structured, does not align, doesn't work. And I remember wanting to develop something that those students would have. Right? So just to be more clear, as I see it, the experience of going through a day as a high school student can be thought of as sitting still, doing what you're told, listening, taking in information in a fragmentary way, right? You got like a half an hour maybe of information, then you get up and you go, and then you do another one, right? And you switch. And then you switch again.
Yep.
Switch again. And then like you have to like stay out of trouble the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
There's no recess, right? And if you're moving, like Phi Ed is sort of still somebody else's idea.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's not comfortable. None of it's comfortable. And so I thought antidote, right? Maybe that's how I can think about what I'm doing. I was really trying to figure it out for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were a guinea pig, you personally, and like that time. So that was a big realization. How does that idea sit with you or anybody else in the room of art room as antidote?
Mr. Jack, you were nodding your head quite a bit. I think you got something to say over there.
Antidote.
What was your experience like in high school? Were you like that? Because I can say I was not like that. I was all right with having a day.
I was not.
Yeah.
No,
that's what I thought.
No, I'm not a big school person. I think it's because I get really obsessed with thoughts, like, and especially in the art. Like, I don't know. We looked at sculptures in Gustavus, and then the next day, all I could think about was sculptures, and that was my entire day. I walked through classes, and I was not listening. It's like I become too dialed into the things I really, really enjoy. And if it's
too locked in.
You need to unlock that locked in, well-being locked in.
Yeah.
Antidote? Key? Now it's a key.
Okay, so did you have, was art like
this is where I'm
you?
getting at. I think the art room's more of a key.
To what?
Whichever door you use it to, I guess. That could be like, it could be the key of you embracing yourself, of you just showing like who you are. It could be the key to like your future. It could be the key to helping other people around you. It can be a key to your relationships. It's like it's a Swiss knife key.
The relationships part is cool.
I think that's almost the most important one that we don't recognize enough. Even if
maybe it's a lock pick.
Like you're breaking, that implies you're breaking in somewhere.
Yeah.
But oh well.
But it takes more skill.
Yeah.
Like there's no guarantee that it'll work.
And back to the relationships though, is something I didn't realize until coming here was even just sharing this space. You don't even have to say a word to the person you're sharing the space with, and you become such great friends. This happened to me. I spent really late hours in the art room, and there's one other person here.
Say your name.
Lizzie Z. Strackbrine.
Lizzie Strackbrine.
She is incredible. She also late hours, but for like a month. Didn't say a single word. Said hi. Made art together. Same space. By the time she was about to leave to Greece, we stopped making art and only talked. It's just being around each other. And for me, more than anything, she's working on her capstone, so it's more prevalent. But I got to see who she was through her art. And then I was like, I get it. You unintentionally learn things about people through their art. And you don't often realize what those things will be. But I think your brain knows. Like, and you're not connecting, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I get it. And I got it. And then I think it's just really beautiful.
So was the art room like that for you in high school or no?
No, the art room for me in high school is a pretty lonely space.
Okay.
Yeah. Why? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I was there in hours that I shouldn't have been. Like I was.
Yeah, just to like, I mean, basically the art department is kind of like tucked away, and there's security in the building.
I don't want to incriminate you.
Yeah. Yeah, but like Jack would just be like working down in the art. He treated it like a college situation where the studio was kind of open and he's just working in it. And I just didn't say anything.
Yeah, he didn't tell me I could. He didn't tell me I couldn't.
That's true.
He just left, and then all of a sudden I was like, do I
So
leave?
wait a minute. You like Jack's in the art room and you just went home?
Oh yeah. Like 5 hours later, he'd text me a picture of the sunset on the window or out the window, or he'd email me or something and I'd be like, oh yeah, he's still there.
Now Mike, why?
Now, Mike, why?
Why indeed?
Why now, bro?
Yeah, I need to know why.
Yeah, I think
That was a choice.
yeah, that was his risk. And I think that in that situation, it was important in Jack's life to have something to explore deeply. I didn't, there's a lot of people that have a lot of things going on, and it seemed like Jack just needed to have a place that he could. Let's go to this, like, personhood. So when you're in an art room, it's different because there's a chance that you can disappoint yourself. There's a chance that you can disappoint the teacher. And I want to give my students every opportunity to disappoint me, because then they have the opportunity to make me proud. So in this situation with Jack, he could have used that as an opportunity to break things, to ruin things, to destroy things, to,
It's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
yeah. Yeah, but that's
Crazy. By the way,
Art room.
But I mean, that's the opportunity,
it's
right?
not a key.
No. But what he just said, like, that was a brilliant thing that you just said.
Are you kidding me? It was divine.
That you allow, you give people the
opportunity to disappoint me so that they can have the opportunity to make me proud. And if you're not vulnerable with someone,
yeah,
and you're not, and you don't have a trust relationship in regards to, and sometimes it's real quick, like, but I want to give them that opportunity to be in the situation where they have the chance that they could do some serious damage. And
it's a different way of showing somebody you're not afraid of them.
Yeah.
But
because structure, you can lock something down. No, this is what you have to do. This is exactly how it has to go. I'm going to give this to you. Do it. All right, you did it. Now I get it back.
Yeah, and that's not relationship based.
Yeah.
That kind of implies that I am afraid of you, right? If you're going to, like, just make it impossible to break, that's a jail.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I think it shows he cares to be vulnerable. Like, for them, the choice. If you're in jail, a person doesn't need to care, because this is how things are going to be.
Yeah.
But given the opportunities, it shows that the person who gave you this opportunity cares. That it matters because it's unknown, and it matters. And then that as, like, the person who got the choice, I knew that, like,
you're sitting alone in Wisco. This massive place.
Massive place.
It's after hours. It's dark.
It's empty.
It's empty. You're there.
I'm there.
Making art.
Yeah. And
I
know that I'm here for a reason. I know that I have a responsibility while I'm here. That is to create. I don't think that's something that's ever left me.
In the words of Jack, I get it.
Yeah. I say that a lot more than I realize.
Sometimes you say, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. But I don't get it. Like, when I say I understand what you're saying, it means I hear your words. I don't get it yet.
Oh.
But when I say I get it, I mean, like, oh. You know?
I'll update my decoder sheet.
Yeah, decoder sheet.
Words understand and get.
Basically.
It works, brother.
English isn't my first language.
Yeah.
I think art is.
I think it is too, actually. I don't think that's a joke. What about Ria's name change? I talked about Ria Mingeva. I don't even know if you even know who that is.
You've brought her up a couple of times.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that name is an anagram. I am ever changing, right? Let's consider that prompt. Like, let's honor her by thinking that through. That was a big move for her to do that, and then to tell her students. I think students before me didn't really know that. There was this vulnerable opening that happened when she sort of confessed what that was, that name change. Do you think that holds up? I'm ever changing.
Yes. I think it for sure does. Specifically for me, just the whole transition of my life of coming to Bethany, of having all this trust in God. For me, the easiest thing for me biblically is to trust God, because I felt like my entire life I didn't have a choice, facing so much adversity and so much other things I didn't know how to navigate at a young age. The only thing I knew how to do was be like, God, help me. And so
all the stability was stripped.
Yeah. No stability, no structure. God was my structure. And that's something I can't see. It's not something I could feel. It is just something that I have to know is happening. And by the Holy Spirit, I figured it out at a young age. Because I don't know where I'd be if I didn't know that. But in knowing that God has control of your life, that if you trust him to be like, take the wheel, he's going to take the wheel and drive you to a place where you're supposed to be. And that is changing and is always going to be changing. And you're going to try to veer away, but Jesus is going to come back and be like, come this way. And it's a cycle. And it's never going to stop. So yeah, I do think we're ever changing.
You're saying you're a different person.
Yeah.
To not be ever changing is just to be God, right? What doesn't change that isn't God?
Well, this is an interesting question, because when I think about Rhea, I think, wait a minute. God calls himself I am. Right? Is she saying God is ever changing? Is I am ever changing?
Doesn't he say that he isn't at some point in the Bible?
Yeah. I never had this conversation with her. Right? But I've wondered in retrospect. And this is that influence thing, right? It's been 30 years. I'm still thinking about her and the choices that she made. Right? And here we are talking about it. This is the future, Mike, you're talking about sometimes, like people who will be influenced. Well, here we are, having been influenced.
So one thing I also think that I don't know if I've talked about, but my job as a teacher, my job as a mentor is to think of my students for the best possible moment that they could become. So in a workroom, in, a school, maybe 10 years ago, what would happen is teachers would come and talk about the students in their worst moments of the day. And this seemed to just eat at me, that this continued to happen. Like, this is what we're going to use our time for. And then I started thinking, like a gift that God's given me is that, and my wife would agree that this is like something that is throughout my life, that I'm going to view people for the best possible moment, and especially in high school, of who they could become. Not who they are right now, not in their moments. So like, as I'm trusting someone in a moment where they could disappoint me or make me proud, I'm trusting their future self. I'm not trusting who they are right now.
Mike, I remember you getting yelled at in the hallway as a student.
Yeah.
And I got in trouble. And if you go back far enough to grade school, like, I was an absolute handful. Like, I would not want me as if I were the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I have shame about my behavior. Mm-hmm. And having taught high school, I taught 17 years. That was long enough. And now there are adult people, right? You're one of them.
Yeah.
I've learned that if I compare my memory of them in high school to how they are now, it's no predictor. High school is no predictor of the way you will be.
Yeah.
It can be. It can turn out like people sort of are the way you think they will be, but there were some people that I thought that were really, really difficult. And now they're just delightful. Right.
So I think something to draw attention to there that my dad would talk about, actually was in his letter as he's kind of turning from a healthy person that has this anticipation of how life will go. And then 2 months later, basically we're singing his praises of the fact that he's entered heaven. In that process, he writes a letter and he says, what are these? He wants people to look at their foundational stories, some of their first memories. And the reason why you remember that is because it informs who you view yourself to be. So one of the reasons why your first memories, or maybe your memories in high school, are because you're constantly trying to tell yourself, the stories you tell yourself about yourself inform who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in high school, the rhetoric or the words that the students are using, sometimes are super dark. I can't do anything right. I can't. I don't have value. I don't have a purpose. And noticing, like, or asking stories that can dispel that false statement. So what are your key moments that you remember, and what does that tell you about the stories that you're trying to tell yourself about who you are as a person? It's an interesting concept. I think back to this hardworking, like one teacher. I think my track coach might even have been your dad, Jason. I don't know. That'd be weird. But they said, like, man, you, no matter what, you're hardworking. You're like, so long distance running, hardworking, that is something that is always then replayed in my mind. That is something that's core to who I personally am. And that's influenced then who I become.
So wait, the statement from the coach was, no matter what you do, work hard at it?
No, it was a comment on who I was.
You in
yes,
particular.
Yeah.
This was not a broadcast. It's
no.
Like, we know that Mike works hard.
Yeah.
I see.
So I'd found, success with long distance running. And it's funny because I actually, I probably could have been more successful if I had worked harder at that. But this idea that, this was a story I told myself as I entered college. This core attribute of who I was this hardworking. So what then that applied to every other element.
It's a story that you tell yourself.
Yeah. So the question maybe in your shoes right now, as you're exploring who you might become, what are the stories that you can tell yourself that will help influence that future person? So if you're talking about, I wish that I didn't, when I'm overwhelmed and I feel anxiety, I need to give it to the Lord. Right now you're telling your story, that's a story you're telling yourself because you're informing yourself that this is who you want to become. Mm-hmm. That's a cool thing. Don't stop doing that. Mm-hmm. And that applies even in my life right now. I'm telling myself even now, stories that I do. What do you dwell on? What are you dwelling on in your day?
You are so smart. Especially with people. This is very helpful is a weird word to use, but this is a really good way to look at people. This helps me understand people better. you're really smart.
I don't know, but I do appreciate you saying that. So yeah, that kind of pairs with the other thing that I said about thinking of people for the best possible person of who they might become. And then the stories you're telling yourself.
So you're saying the stories you tell about other people can also be examined.
Mm-hmm.
The best possible version or the worst possible version.
What are you focusing on in their actions or in their words? So if someone says something that's I would say a negative, right? And maybe hopeless. How do you have them focus on something or create? And that's the nice thing in the art room, because you get a chance to do that. Create a moment that will help build their identity. That's cool. Like, that's a special thing about being an art teacher. That you can help them build this identity of being a hard worker by giving them a task that then shows that they're a hard worker. And then support that with your words and how you compliment them, or so you have control over kind of like the different variables. So in, like, let's say I went in to be like a psychology like person and got my major in it, master's in it, and I was in a counseling center and I would listen to people and I would talk to people, and that was my job. It's hard to build in that situation, I think. Where in an art teacher role, you can like literally give them the project that will give them the tools to be able to view themselves as someone who has value and who can make things and who has, can work with their hands and who can be hardworking. And sometimes it starts with, you're not being hardworking. Would you do this for me? Like, would you buy in enough just to try this? Try working hard for this next 2 weeks? And then sometimes you never see them come back from that. And Jason, I think that's something in your mentorship that people that have gone through your room, because you are so invested in quality and craftsmanship and care of the things you make, they jump on board. Because kind of like Bill has like this mentality that like, these are the best things. Like, work ethic is something that is so clearly one of the best things that you inspire through what you're doing, your actions. And then, even with Jack, I think something you're doing right now is like, you're realizing that you're in this sweet moment where your job right now is to explore being an artist. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you don't know where those possibilities are going to lead you.
Yeah.
But you know that this is a sweet window, and college is a sweet window to just have your job be to learn. I think my sophomore year of college, I maybe was like, whoa, sweet. Like, this is like what I have to do. Like,
Yeah.
I got a couple more years of this. This is amazing. Yeah, I don't know. So what stories do you tell yourself? I want to know. Like, is there a story that like you have that's formative? Like, it's funny because I say that like your first memories inform you, but like one of my first memories is like giving a tour of my house, and I like didn't knock, and I think my brother was in his undies or something. And like,
yeah, that's important stuff.
Like, I don't know. I'm still like trying to sift through what that could mean. But do you have anything?
Me specifically?
Yeah. What do you got? Like one of your first memories?
Well, the thing is, I can't remember so many of them. And the ones that I have, I worry that they're fake. I worry that I made them
Dreams?
up.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, the main one is I can remember the way that our bedrooms are set up. There's a boys' room and a girls' room. So there are 4 people in the girls' room, and it's very cramped in there. But our bed, me and my sister sleep in like beside each other in this one bed, and I slept on the outside, and I could see out the window. It was a bunk bed, but I could still see out the window. And I remember I did not like taking a nap. Like I would fake naps for like nobody's business, and then I would come out and like pretend to yawn and be like, "Oh, that was such a good nap." And you know how like kids have no like they don't know time at all. My mom would be like, "You were in there for 8 minutes. Like go back. I know you haven't been taking a nap." Anyways, so I would be, but I remember this time I was not. I was actually like, "Oh, I see why people." And it was during the day. It was during the afternoon. And I was sitting on my bed looking out the window, and I remember seeing kids in our backyard, like playing, like just doing stuff and like finding things. And I remember being like, this is the most peaceful, like, and my like sisters were there, and we were all just like chilling out and resting. And I remember looking out the window and seeing people playing and be like, this is really nice. And like falling asleep. And like I did not take naps, and that was like I don't know. So I think about that a lot, and I don't know if it was real, but that was a cool that happened.
So your initial story is you searching for peace in the midst of chaos?
Yeah, a little bit.
And finding it.
And finding it?
Finding it in the people around you. Just appreciation of the people around you.
What have you guys got?
That's pretty good.
I got one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I was 2. I'm not sure. Maybe 3. I'm not sure. Oldest child, only child at that moment in my life. I like to watch Tarzan, and I like to watch Spider-Man cartoons. So I was standing on my bed, and like the curtain seemed like a good idea. This is like the Tarzan thing, you know? So I'm standing on the bed and holding the curtain, you know, and there's this moment where it seems like this is it. I can do this. I can do it. And then I launch, and I end up with my first black eye. Mm-hmm. I run into the fan in the window. I'm on the floor. I'm crying. That's it. It's like the absolute opposite of yours.
Maybe a little bit.
It checks out, though.
I think so, too.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I do a lot of jumping into things.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just go for things.
I remember starting here and being like, this guy's obsessed with talking about risk. All he wants to do is take risks all the time.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, Norah, man, she's just napping all the time. She's always sleeping and looking out the window.
Looking out the window.
She's sleeping out the window.
Yeah.
Okay, my turn. I think my earliest memory was being picked up from grade school. I think I'd say second grade-ish, and we just got a computer, like a house computer. And I have an older sister, and she was like, dibs, 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 every single day. Every single day, I asked myself, why is she calling dibs? All I wanted to do was run into my house and lay on this carpet that was perfectly in the sun for as long as possible. It was the most comfy thing ever.
You didn't even want the computer.
I didn't need anything. I needed the sunlight.
You're like a cat.
Basically. But I kind of don't like cats, so I don't know how that attests, but I
think you might be a cat.
I don't know if I like
but like
that.
A big one. You're like a puma.
Maybe. But yeah, no, I think that was my memory. And
You're
like
you're not a house cat.
No, yeah, you're like a mountain.
I hope not.
You might be a mountain lion.
Those are too scary. Jack's pretty nice. Mountain lions are very scary. Do you remember at Maida's wedding when was it you kept talking about like there's
out there.
Lions
They've been seeing
area. I remember walking
afraid.
back to my car crying.
Dude, Tarzan. So Tarzan is telling you about mountain lions.
There's a mountain lion.
Might be a puma.
Be careful. And like, I remember walking back to
Tarzan
Anna's
likes
car,
mountain
like
lions. We're
sobbing
friends.
and being like, I'm so sad and now I'm going to be killed by a mountain lion. on the way back to my car.
When things get dark, things are different.
Yeah.
That's true. All of a sudden,
Crazy.
those noises.
Yeah.
Little did they know it was just me.
Okay, so what do we think,
Jack was just
what do we
trying
think
to
about Jack's
climb a
earliest
tree.
memory?
How does that influence him? That he wants to
Does
catch
that
the
check
sun?
out? I love the Caribbean in the sun. Like,
Yeah.
if I had to live anywhere and make art rest my life, it would be there, for the churches there. That is what I would do. The community, the sun, the lack of things they need.
No computer.
It's beautiful.
No computer.
Nope, I don't care. Meh.
That checks out.
Man, Mike, this is crazy.
Cool. No, you should do this with other
Mike.
people too. I don't know.
This could be a whole other
Did you do
podcast.
yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, the undies.
Sure,
the undies.
I mean, I have some
I'm still
inkling.
trying to
Checks out.
No, but there's an element of vulnerability there, right? Like that we were having people tour our house,
Hospitality.
hospitality, and I mean, we had this massive house that was, like a project house that needed a lot of work. So basically, we lived in a house that actually is in the Edgewood parking lot. They moved it, and then they built the parking lot there. And we moved down to this house that my brother owns right now, and we fixed up the first room. We all moved into there, and then it's this massive house, and we just fixed room by room, and then eventually spread out into it.
Cool.
So part of it, I think, is this idea that you don't have to have everything together in order to move into a situation.
Cool.
Like that checks out in my life, I would say.
Yeah.
I think so too. No, I see it. I see it now.
Yeah.
I get it.
No, the whole like brother in
I get it.
underwear thing, like I don't know about that part.
Yeah, but I like that that's part of your story because you're really good at like breaking things up with a little chuckle.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I think your dad's really good at that,
Yeah.
right? That's a big deal.
Yeah, my grandpa too. Not taking yourself too seriously.
So the first memory I have of you, Mike,
Oof.
was from your dad. I was in psychology class,
Oh yeah.
and he told this story about his kindergarten age son getting dressed up for Halloween. And he came down the stairs with a bandana on his head and like sunglasses and like his sleeves rolled up. And Mom asked, "What are you dressed up as?" He said, "Mom, I'm a drug dealer." He's 5. He has older brothers.
do you
He has
remember
older
that?
brothers. And she said, "You are not. You go back upstairs and change." And you know, the point of the story is that Mark is telling this story to his college class, right? I loved that class so much, and there's that vulnerability again, like, and that chuckle, like there's something really hilarious about that moment. I don't know if I can't really think of any reason why he would be telling us content wise.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he let us in. He's telling us something he didn't have to tell us.
Yeah. He's a human.
I think he was extra human,
Yeah.
superhuman.
Well, it's uncommon to be open like my family sometimes is, I think.
That's the bravery of that maybe results in letting Jack be at the school.
But it's nice because when you come from a family that does it makes it like okay. And it's weird because at some level, now that I'm kind of more in this region, it like checks out, like people are like, oh yeah, but like that's just like you guys can do that because that's part of your family. That's something I've heard a lot this last couple of months. Like, oh yeah, like you're part of the Wiechmann, so like you just would do those things. And I think the way I want to say it is like you could do those things too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like you can be brave, and your trajectory you set can be the stories that get told.
Yeah, but inheriting it is different than starting it.
Yeah.
there's a different amount of sod busting for the first.
And I talked to you about that one time, Norah. I think I said, like, I'm fascinated about your existence as a kid because of who you and your sister are. From my perspective, knowing you two a little bit, even like what's the formula or what's the origin story to people that are so curious, that ask such good questions, that what is,
I've had this conversation too. Like what's going on with the Kratz family that, like, I know two of them.
Yeah.
And I know dad and I know mom a little bit. And I just think, whoa, like there's some magic happening.
And some of it for me is like, I want to emulate that with my kids, right? I mean, I'm grabbing, influences in my life to be a dad, but also to, like, what situations can I put my kids in? So that
your family is like a delightful, sparkly circus of wonder.
They are. I agree.
I love it.
Yes.
And there's like some fun things too, and I get to see that now. Like, some things my kids are doing are emulating vulnerability and trusting others and trusting the world, which is scary because it's a sinful place.
Scary.
But it's heroic. And I think sometimes as a parent, you want to be like, oh, don't trust, don't go up to a stranger. Like, stranger danger is like core to childhood. But maybe not in my household as much as it probably should be. Because I want to.
Who are you becoming? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what does stranger danger turn into?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think the inherited vulnerability thing, I've not thought about it before, but like that is like immediately noticeable about you and your brothers, actually. Because I didn't know you when I first came here, but I've heard of you from like a lot of my friends went to MPL, and so like that helps. And I remember being like, I really want to talk to him, but he like has no idea who I am, so I can't imagine that he would want to talk to me. And like I haven't even known you for that well for a year yet, and like I just keep on thinking like I don't know how someone could care that much about someone that they don't really know that well.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. Like it's like.
But the reason why I instantly like got on your team was because you have two people in your life that literally came and said, I was looking for someone to be another teacher for our camp, and two of your friends who were in my class that I cared about a lot, they were like, she checks, like, you gotta just bring her in. Like they vouch for you, like, and I trust what they say. And I think Jason has that same kind of situation, I think, frequently, where people are like, he's giving me 2 hours of time to talk about this.
Yeah.
Like, of all things.
For positive. Yeah.
That's 2 hours is like maybe a small amount. That is, I guess, something that's been influenced.
Yeah.
In my situation. But you're really good at complimenting people.
Well,
thanks.
That's a compliment.
They always deserve it. So, I totally agree with the thing about Jason. By the way, I remember like at the beginning being like, doesn't this guy have some sort of paper to grade or something? Like, I remember being like walking, you're like, have a seat, and it's like the rocking chair, and I'm like, okay, like, aren't you busy? Almost always, but it's okay. You can sit down. Jack, what do you think about the rocking chair?
It's a comfy chair, I think.
Yeah, you've been
it's
in the rocking chair.
It's a great chair.
I think it's an okay chair. It's a little bit of work.
Usually you don't pay attention. You're not paying that much attention to the chair when you're in the rocking chair.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
also for the readers, Jason has a rocking chair in his office, and if you go in there to talk to him, he'll usually tell you to sit down in the rocking chair. That's what we're talking about.
Even if you're just standing there, he'd be like, "Oh, go sit down. Fine.
I feel better if you're
All
standing.
right, okay.
Makes me nervous if you're standing.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting and someone's standing, I have to switch it up.
It's different.
I'm like, hey, will you sit down and I can stand? Please.
No, but
I saw.
Oh, so good. My fault.
No, I want to hear what you
awkward.
get to say.
Okay.
Jack.
So, for me, I think, like that time spent of like Jaksyn, or even, if you guys didn't know, Mr. Wiechmann Mike was so busy at Wisco. He was always running around doing things. And so I kind of already had kind of like Jaksyn-esque of, oh, you got to go find him. Like, if you need something, go track him down. And so I get that. But in doing that, I realized.
Like a puma.
Mm.
Oh, it is. Here we go. No, but I realized the time you have with the people that influence you is so important. Take every single minute, every single second, every single conversation, and hold it dearly, because it matters. And I didn't often realize this. And then I really think you were the first person to teach me this, and you taught me it by leaving. But I understood now that the people around me aren't going to be there forever. I had to grow up, but they're going to be there with me by what I take from them. So every single moment I'm with you or with other teachers, with Andy, I'm just constantly consuming, constantly figuring out what works, constantly trying to take away from the things they're teaching me. I'm like eager, like I'm in pursuit of something greater, and I think this is fuel for me.
It's a good mindset to have.
Yeah. Another word for pursuit is hunting.
And some people would say
Can we call it a?
pumas.
Can we call it a Black Panther? Like, I feel like that's cooler than.
Right, they're the same thing,
Yeah,
aren't they?
Jaguar.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I realize being on this podcast, I'm just a big cat.
Jaguar.
Here. Oh, this is gonna stick.
Thanks for saying it again. I didn't catch it.
You didn't?
I didn't.
Okay. I got real close to the mic.
And of course, as they always do, this is turned into an ASMR podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long one.
Yeah,
I think we gotta find a way to stop.
it's hard.
Ugh.
It's really
You
good.
guys have been here for way longer than I
Yeah.
have. Though,
Yeah.
So, yeah. And you guys still have to drive back.
We've been yapping.
I think
hard.
it's.
Hardcore.
I mean, if we're talking about influence, I think give yourself a chance to have people that mentor you, and realize that could be like at your coffee shop job, or like don't section it out and be like, when I get to this place, then I'll have someone that can influence me. But just like see where God brings you, and search it out at your churches. As I'm kind of more invested into a congregation right now, maybe than I've been in the past. Yeah, kind of search out who are making things at your churches, and then who are people that are maybe have some stories that you would benefit from learning. I don't know. That's an interesting perspective. That like if we talk about Leanne Ross, who was the person that was the art teacher before Jaksyn, and then at Wisco, the art teacher before me. Like, she was a part of this Wells Arts, what's it, guild? It was like out of WLC.
You sent it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I just discovered like that there was this like basically an organization of people that were wanting a magazine and a publication and an art contest, and they just like gathered together and they made a arts guild that was Christian and that existed before. And it was like this treasure trove of like, I don't know, it's an interesting thought that like that can be in the future, people that are trying to figure out like, where did all these Christian creatives come from?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, as becoming a Christian creative, I think influence, to remember to be influenced. Remember to take away from the people around you, from your mentors, from even everyday people. Constantly take information and be able to be influenced and understand that it's okay to change as long as you keep God in mind. If you keep that trust that however you're going to change, if you have Christ in mind, you're going to be changing in the right way. I think that's important to know.
Stay on a foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. When I think about influences, I could have been influenced wrong.
Exactly.
There were plenty of opportunities. Yeah, and that's kind of unspoken. I guess I'm not saying that I filtered some of these things. One thing I didn't say about Rhea is that she was kind of a closet Christian when I started at MSU. And I had some office conversations with her. And by the time, I don't know if I'm taking credit for this or if I should take credit for this, but by the time I was leaving MSU, she was talking openly about her content being Christian and her faith being vital to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And to me, being an artist means being honest.
Authenticity.
Yeah. If you're going to make good art, you got to make art about something that you know. So this is why I make art about my faith, because I'm being honest about who I am and what's important to me. I think, I've learned that being understood is a great desire and a great pleasure. And I feel understood in this company. And I think I revel in watching people get it. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is one of the most beautiful things that I think Whistle the Feast does. We take the time to understand one another.
I think it brings clarity throughout life, through our relationships. I think that's what Whistle the Feast does.
I think it's just a good conversation. I think it's just a good talk. And that does what you said.
Yeah, and it's another reason to be an artist. I think it's a big reason to be an artist because it's unlikely to be understood. I find it very unlikely for all the thoughts that I have and the ways that I experience me. It seems really almost impossible to get it out. But art gives you that language, that vocabulary that gives you another way besides words.
I think it's, from my perspective, it's just a blessing to get to see, like, you're talking about trusting in God a lot. We're talking about, like being in the moment, but it's really fun. And I talked a lot about the future and like those things, but it's really fun to just kind of look back at like where God's direction is in people's lives. And that's, I guess that's a blessing that Jason and I have of, getting to see that of people that are at Bethany right now, people that are in my art room, like that I think will track and go to Bethany, and the just absolutely incredible things that they're going to do. Like, that's cool. Like, that's just a fun, hopeful thing that mentorship has. And mentorship with someone who's founded in a Savior that loves them. Like, the important things are taken care of. So what are we going to do with our time?
That changes everything.
Yeah.
That's the gospel, just like transforms.
Yeah.
Transforms you. This is why you don't have to worry about the future, because you're always okay. And you know how the story ends.
Mm-hmm.
You know the ending.
You get to fill in the pages with whatever you want.
Basically. Yeah. Go for it. Swing like Tarzan.
Yeah. And also, just like, think about the people that are in your life as people that are meant to be there. So like, Norah, you said some nice things about me, but like every single time they have these situations with people, like that's what I always have that thought over and over again. I guess God brought a new person into my life. And that's a cool perspective to just have that, like, well, see where this goes.
Because it's on purpose.
Yeah. It's not a mistake. And people have a purpose. They should work diligently towards making it happen.
Yeah.
All right. This is it.
Yep.
This is it.
We gotta.
Readers out there, I love you. People around the table, I love you. Thank you so much for your time, attention, energy, love, etc.
See y'all later.
See y'all later.
Bye-bye.
And that concludes this episode of Whistle the Feast. We hope you enjoyed being a part of the conversation as much as we did. Whistle the Feast would not be possible without all the creative people and spaces at Bethany Lutheran College. And you can head on over to blc.edu to learn more about the college or schedule a visit. If you have thoughts, questions, or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. You can actually send any feedback about the show to feastreaders@gmail.com. And hey, if you've got a project you'd like to promote, we'd love to support it. Just send your details our way. A huge shout out to the wonderful people in our Bethany community for sharing their thoughts with us, and our producer Jackson Graham for managing the edits. And with that, I'm Norah Kratz alongside Jason Jaspersen, and we want to thank everyone who tuned into this episode of Whistle the Feast. Until next time.
Get curious, be of good service, and discover what God has given you.